Martin, if by some crazy chance you see this, don't do it. Don't do it. Hello and welcome to Bibliobibuli for our first episode of Books and Brews, where we drink and we read things. And today, we'll be discussing what Game of Thrones could have been.
This contains potential spoilers.
This contains major spoilers,
So-
100%.
Okay, so this contains major spoilers, so if you have not read A Song of Ice and Fire,
Look away
proceed with
now.
caution.
So this came out a few years ago,
Okay.
but apparently there was a letter from George R.R. Martin to his publisher outlining where he wanted the trilogy to go, because A Song of Ice and Fire was supposed to be a trilogy of books.
Which it is clearly not.
It is not. And it is clearly not where he meant for it to go either. And I think it is very interesting to see what he had in mind for these books and what we've gotten so far. So,
Very opposite of Harry Potter.
yes,
Very opposite.
it's very opposite.
You just gonna read me the letter?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
you can just stop me wherever. And...
Okay.
Dear Ralph.
Who's Ralph?
He must be the publisher, the guy in charge who he was
Okay.
pitching these books to.
Okay.
Here are the first 13 chapters, 170 pages, of the high fantasy novel I promised you, which I'm calling A Game of Thrones. When completed, this will be the first volume in what I see as an epic trilogy with the overall title A Song of Ice and Fire. Well, that much we know to be true.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
As you know, I don't outline my novels. I find that if I know exactly where a book is going, I lose all interest in writing it. I do, however, have some strong notions as to the overall structure of the story I'm telling, and the eventual fate of many of the principal characters in the drama. Roughly speaking, there are three major conflicts set in motion in the chapters enclosed. These will form the major plot threads of the trilogy, intertwining each other in what should be a complex but exciting, I hope, narrative tapestry. Each of the conflicts present a major threat to the peace of my imaginary realm, the Seven Kingdoms, and to the lives of my principal characters. The first threat grows from the enmity between the great houses of Lannister and Stark as it plays out in a cycle of plot, counterplot, ambition, murder, and revenge, with the Iron Throne of the Seven Kingdoms as the ultimate prize. This will form the backbone of the first volume of the trilogy, A Game of Thrones. So that's pretty much playing out the same.
Yeah.
We have that, Starks hate Lannisters.
Lannisters hate Starks, and it's going to develop into a conflict over the throne.
Mm-hmm. And so far, we've seen murder. Catelyn wants revenge.
Yeah.
There's a plot. We haven't seen the counterplot, and we haven't gotten the ambition yet, but so far, we're going in the right direction here.
Yeah, it seems like we're off to a start.
But don't you worry, it gets better, and there's a lot that it kind of diverges.
Okay, go ahead.
While the Lion of Lannister and the Direwolf of Stark snarl and scrap, however, a second and greater threat takes shape across the Narrow Sea, where the Dothraki horse lords mass their barbarian hordes for a great invasion of the Seven Kingdoms. Led by the fierce and beautiful Daenerys Stormborn, the last of the Targaryen dragon lords, the Dothraki invasion will be the central story of my second volume, A Dance with Dragons. Okay, right there, we skipped over a lot.
That's like 3 more books.
Yeah. So, we got an extra 3 books in there. Before we actually got what would have been the second book.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to imagine that he could have developed these characters as much as they needed to be in only
3 novels.
2 books.
Two novels,
2 books.
really, yeah.
So, I kind of see why we have so many.
Yeah, how do you go from like the start of Dany's story, where we start with Dany's story, to then in the second novel having her be ready to attack Westeros with the Dothraki?
Right?
What? How?
Cal
So
Drago
fast.
and her moved pretty fucking
Yeah,
fast.
is Khal Drogo even still alive? What happens? Does he die? What happens in between novels 1 and 2?
That actually gets answered
Oh,
a little bit, so we will get to that. I'm not going to comment on that just yet.
Okay.
But yeah.
And how did those dragons grow so fast?
Exactly.
They're babies.
Like, was he just going to fast forward it? Was it going to be like
12 years later. Yeah, what? Okay.
Right? No.
All right. Okay.
But that's not all.
Okay, yeah, hit me with more.
The greatest danger of all, however, comes from the north, from the icy waste beyond the wall, where half-forgotten demons of the legend, the inhuman others, raise cold legions of the undead and the neverborn and prepare to ride down on the winds of winter to extinguish everything that we could call life. The only thing that stands between the seven kingdoms and an endless night is the wall, and a handful of men in black called the Night's Watch. Their story will be... We don't know what it says there. There will be blank heart of my third volume, The Winds of Winter. The final battle will also draw together characters and plot threads left from the first 2 books and resolve all in one huge climax. So Winds of Winter was supposed to be the last one.
Mm-hmm. Which will not resolve the big huge climax because A Dream of Spring comes after that.
Exactly. So I wonder how...
Were there just supposed to be less conflicts than ended up coming out? Dear Lord, Parmpians.
But it doesn't seem like it, because how he outlines it, all the conflicts are there. So he didn't even have the idea that he was gonna have less conflicts, less characters. He just, like,
Figured
his
he could
eyes
get
were
it all
bigger
done.
than his typewriter.
Yeah. How
He
you...
was-
What? Were they all gonna be, like, 2,000-page books? Like...
I mean, I'm glad he decided, you know what, I'm not gonna force all of this into 3 books. I'm going to write 7. Because, damn, there's no way I am making Daenerys an awesome character in 1 book.
7 is the most magical number.
That's true. I mean, by these standards, who
If
knows?
Voldemort knows, Martin knows.
But I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be 6. And then when writing A Dance with Dragons, he wrote so much that he had to make
Feast for Crows.
for Crows.
Yeah.
So really, this could end up being a 10-part book saga, if you really think about it. Because Martin kind of goes as he writes. It's not 100% written out.
Which leads me to also say that's a problem because we've been waiting 10 years for book 6. So if he's like, yeah, there's gonna be 10 altogether, I'm gonna be like 65 by the time the last book comes out.
Probably. Then in the nursing home. Walker.
Watching the at 65?
Winter.
I will not be in a nursing home at 65. Come on now.
I don't know. The 13 chapters on hand should give you a notion as to my narrative strategy. All 3 books will feature a complex mosaic of intercutting points of view among various of my large and diverse cast of players. The cast will not always remain the same. Old characters will die, and new ones will be introduced. Some of the fatalities will include sympathetic viewpoint characters. I want the reader to feel that no one is ever completely safe, not even the characters who seem to be the heroes. The suspense always ratchets up a notch when you know that any character can die at any time. Well, he definitely succeeded in that.
Yeah,
that is the big thing that made Martin the writer that he is.
Yeah.
Because he really did that well.
Yeah, we definitely think, oh, this person, that person. Nope, psych. They're dead now.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. You thought you knew. What, you like this guy? Alright. Oh, you hate this guy? Alright.
I mean, that is one of the reasons why I really love the story, though.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
so
me too.
unpredictable.
Me too.
Because, this guy's following the hero's journey. He must be our main character. Oh, he's dead.
Yep.
Oh, crap.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense, because this person's following the hero. Oh, God, he's dead, too. Okay.
Much more true to life.
Yeah.
Much more true in real life.
This guy's awful. Okay, he's got to die. It's sooner or later. Will you please kill him? Kill him!
And then there are so many gray characters in between characters. Like,
yes.
Bad people who do good things and good people who do bad things and kind of ride that
That's like
teeter-totter.
all the characters, though.
But I mean, you can look at certain characters like
Eddard Stark,
and
the most honorable.
He's a good guy, and then you could look at
But he was he had some infidelity issues.
Did he really though?
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
He was always a good guy.
In the story, we don't know about that till a lot later on.
Right.
In the beginning, you think he is a flawed character, when really he honestly was weird in that he was probably 100% pure. He could have lifted Thor's hammer. Even
with the infidelity ended up being true, right? Say that was true.
Mm-hmm.
He still is essentially a good guy, right?
Yes.
Then you have other characters like the Mountain, who are very obviously bad dudes.
Yes, 100%.
Or Joffrey, who is very clearly a bad dude.
An awful person.
But then you have people like, I'm trying to think. Even Jon Snow, he's like a good dude, right? Like, solid good dude.
Yeah, he's like Eddard reincarnated.
Yeah.
He's...
Right. But then you have characters like Arya, who
does bad things for the right reasons.
Right, but she just undergoes so much crazy trauma, and her morality gets like really twisted and corrupted. But is she a bad person? You know,
yeah.
Or
she does bad things for the right reasons.
Yeah,
and
just because she is a bad guy doesn't mean she is a bad guy.
And then you have people like Littlefinger who do good things for the wrong reasons. Like, he saves Sansa.
Right.
But that's only because he wants to use her for power.
Right.
But you don't know that when he saves her. He seems like a good guy. It's just...
Yeah, Littlefinger very much operates in the shadows of good, bad. Varys is kind of the same way.
Yeah.
But
Varys, I would put in the camp he does, as Arya, he does bad things for the right reasons. He is 100%...
You mean for the greater good?
Yes, for the greater good. He is all about the realm. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about the other person who wants to be king. He's like, what's the best for the people?
Right, he's like actually the only character that gives a shit about the people.
Yeah.
No one else cares about the people. Not really.
No.
I mean...
They're just like, I want the throne.
Yeah, they don't care about the people. Well, I think Dany does, to a certain degree.
To a degree.
To a degree. I think...
Dany's one of those that's hard, though.
I think she
Sometimes she cares too much. And
I think she considers the people more than some of the other ones do. You know, like, I think she also has her own self-interest in mind when she's thinking about the people. Like, she wants to break the chains and free the slaves because it's the right thing to do. But she also knows it'll give her their undying devotion. So she...
But we kind of have that conflict in, is she doing it because she thinks it's right, or is she doing it for the people? Because you have, like, Marine, where she shuts down the fighting pits and stuff like that.
And it turns into this huge political issue.
The people want it. She's like, no, that's
right.
wrong. You can't do that. And is that as bad as...
I think that conflict is actually very interesting, because it's not only bordering on listening to what the people want, but it's also about Dany getting a good grip on their culture and what that aspect of that culture means to them. Slavery is a little bit different than the fighting pits.
Yeah.
And her issue with the fighting pits, I think, is her, to a degree, lack of willingness to at least understand culturally
Yeah.
why they want these fighting pits and what they mean to them as a people.
Exactly.
And if she understood it more, maybe she would have handled it a little bit differently. Maybe they still would have been shut down, but maybe it wouldn't have happened the same way.
Yeah.
You know? If she had taken the culture into consideration a little more, maybe the Sons of the Harpy wouldn't have ended up being like such a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, is there any more to that letter?
Oh yeah, we've only read page 1 of 3.
Oh yeah, we better hustle then. We're getting off on tangents here.
5 central characters will make it through all 3 volumes. However, growing from children to adults and changing the world and themselves in the process. In a sense, my trilogy is almost a generational saga, telling the life stories of these 5 characters, 3 men and 2 women. Now it lists the 5 characters, but do you want to guess who the 5 main characters are?
Yes, I want to guess who the 5 main characters are.
All right, so you have your
3 men,
there.
2 women.
Yes.
Jon Snow, Bran, Dany, Arya. Who would number 5 be?
Khal Drago, maybe?
Ah. Yeah, right.
Robert Baratheon. He made it through the whole story in the original mock-up.
They all start out as children? Did he say they all start out as children? All the main characters?
5 central characters and make it through all 3 volumes, however, growing from children to adults and changing the world and themselves.
Because my other guy would have been Jaime, but Jaime's already an adult. So I guess it doesn't count.
Well, I can tell you one of them isn't a child.
Then that would be my other. That would be my other guess. Would maybe be Jaime. Then those would be my guesses.
Okay, so those are your guesses.
Yeah, I'd get them all wrong.
All right, one more time. What was it? Daenerys, Bran,
Jon Snow,
Arya, Jon, and
Jaime Lannister. Why not?
The 5 key players are Tyrion Lannister.
Oh fuck! How
Daenerys
did I forget
Targaryen.
all about Tyrion Lannister? What the hell? I forgot all about him. Oh my god! I feel ashamed of myself. Anyway,
I thought for sure you were gonna say him.
I know. What the hell?
Daenerys Targaryen, and 3 of the children of Winterfell: Arya, Bran, and the bastard Jon Snow.
Hey, so I got them all except Tyrion, but I did
4.
guess a Lannister,
Yeah.
so I just didn't guess the right one, which was stupid. But
so I don't know if he was gonna have Tyrion start out as like a child or something because he said children.
Yeah, maybe,
That's up to interpretation, but maybe it was just bad wording in the letter.
Either way,
all of them are introduced at some length in the chapters. You have 2 hand. That's a typo. On hand, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be, I hope, quite an epic. Epic in its scale, epic in its actions, epic in its length. I see all 3 volumes as big books, running about 700 to 800 manuscript pages, so things are just barely getting underway in the 13 chapters I've sent you. Well, that's
yeah.
I have quite a clear notion of how the story is going to unfold in the first volume, A Game of Thrones. Things will get a lot worse for the poor Starks before they get better, I'm afraid. Lord Eddard Stark and his wife Catelyn Tully are both doomed, and will perish at the hands of their enemies. Ned will discover what happens to his friend Jon Arryn, but before he can act on his knowledge, King Robert will have an unfortunate accident, and the throne will pass to his sullen and brutal son Joffrey, still a minor. Joffrey will not be sympathetic, and Ned will be accused of treason, but before he is taken, he will help his wife and his daughter Arya escape back to Winterfell. So,
yeah, that didn't happen.
Kind of right with the Neddard story and Joffrey and Robert.
Yeah, that part happened. But as we well know, no one made it back to Winterfell.
No.
No one made it back to Winterfell at all.
Arya, Catelyn. Well, Catelyn makes it back.
Yeah, well,
in
my mind, she doesn't count.
Okay. But
she's a Tully, she's not a Stark.
Yeah, that's true. And Arya, well, she just kind of goes off.
Yeah, Arya definitely does not make it back to Winterfell.
Becomes a
at
wild
all.
wolf.
Yes.
Each of the contending families will learn it has a member of dubious loyalty in its midst. Sansa Stark, wed to Joffrey Baratheon, will bear him a son. And yeah.
No! No!
Right?
Gross.
Could you imagine?
No!
A baby Joffrey Stark?
No Joffrey Stark,
Or would it-
Lannister, bastard,
or
incest babies.
A baby Sansa Baratheon?
No.
Baby Sansa Lannister?
No.
Would they have found
Technically, it would be a baby Sansa Lannister, wouldn't it?
out? Yeah.
No.
Or let me find my place. The heir to the throne, and when the crunch comes, she will choose her husband and child over her parents and siblings. A
What a
choice
bitch.
she will later bitterly rue.
I shouldn't have said bitch, but wow.
So
Rude.
Sansa wasn't going to be any better.
No,
She wasn't going to be any better.
She
in
was
this.
going to be Cersei 2.0. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tyrion Lannister, meanwhile, will befriend both Sansa and her sister Arya, while growing more and more disenchanted with his own family. So Tyrion kind of follows the same
Yeah.
vein.
Yeah, because he does befriend while he marries Sansa.
Yeah.
And
Which also, I feel like Tyrion handled it well. He was a gentleman about the whole thing.
he was so
when
sweet about
Yeah.
Sansa. He
that-
saw that they were both in such a bad situation.
I was
and-
kind of annoyed with Sansa that she was still such an ass to him.
Yeah, because he really tried to be very nice to
Like,
her.
I know you don't want to wed him, but come on.
He's trying to tell you, like, you're both in a situation you don't want to be in.
Yeah.
Let's at least
He's being a good guy about it.
make the best of it. Like, I won't touch you. I
Yeah.
won't do any of that. Like,
Just keep up the charade. And
yeah, he was very, very
Carry
nice
on.
about it. And she just...
was not about it.
No. She was also very traumatized by that point, and I think she was not handling her trauma very well.
No, she wasn't. Not at all.
Hello, Balerion. I see you poking out.
He knows we're reading about him.
Yes.
Young Bran will come out of his coma after a strange, prophetic dream, only to discover that he will never walk again. He will turn to magic, at first in the hope of restoring his legs, but later for his own sake. For its own sake. When his father Eddard Stark is executed, Bran will see the shape of doom descending on all of them, but nothing he can say will stop his brother Robb from calling the banners in rebellion. All the North will be inflamed by war. Robb will win several splendid victories and maim Joffrey Baratheon on the battlefield, but in the end, he will not be able to stand against Jaime and Tyrion Lannister and their allies. Robb Stark will die in battle, and Tyrion Lannister will besiege and burn Winterfell. Do you imagine little Tyrion besieging Winterfell and burning it to the
No.
ground?
No. What? No.
Yeah, Tyrion's a war hero in this.
Yeah, right? Well, I mean, he did get the victory at the Blackwater.
Yes, he did.
So he kind of got... But not Winterfell, Tyrion, no!
I know.
Do not!
And
Jeez.
and Bran turns to magic.
That's
He
pretty...
kind of did. How it's worded, I think more of like Harry Potter magic. He was like, alchemy and stuff. But
Magic is different in the series, I
Yeah.
think, than it sounds like he first intended it to be.
exactly, that's what I mean.
Like, it sounds
I like
like...
where he went with the magic in the series. It's much more subtle magic. I like it more than
It's...
the thought of him being a wizard.
Yeah, this is much... the magic in the books ends up being, like... just another aspect of nature.
Yeah.
And based on this letter, it sounds kind of like he's gonna go be a maester and that kind of like necromancy.
That's what I mean.
Kind of that kind of like alchemical Melisandre kind of magic.
He's
type
gonna
stuff.
go to Hogwarts, and
Yeah.
he can't walk anymore, so he's gonna learn to fly a broom and be a Quidditch master.
Right? I mean, it's not wrong, but I think because Bran does turn to magic, but it's just way, way different. And I
Yeah.
do like the whole green seer thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, go ahead.
God, just the thought of Tyrion burning Winterfell is like
What?
yeah.
What? That's so
I'm
far
just
from where
picturing
Tyrion
him-
ends up going.
I know. I'm just picturing like Jaime looking up to him. I wish I could be as good as my brother.
That would be a nice moment for them.
All right. Jon Snow, the bastard, will remain in the far north. He will mature into a ranger of great daring and ultimately will succeed his uncle as the commander of the Night's Watch. When Winterfell burns, Catelyn Stark will be forced to flee north with her son Bran and her daughter Arya. Wounded by Lannister riders, they will seek refuge at the Wall, but the men of the Night's Watch give up their families when they take the Black, and Jon and Benjen will not be able to help, to Jon's anguish. It will lead to a bitter estrangement between Jon and Bran. Arya will be more forgiving, until she realizes, with terror, that she has fallen in love with Jon, who is not only her half-brother, but a man of the Night's Watch, sworn to celibacy.
Gross!
This was the one that got me when I was reading through it. I was like, okay, the other stuff I could kind of see. No, Arya and... No.
But I could kind of see in the first book the seeds of that being a possibility later on. How, like, Martin kind of maybe intended for that to happen later in the beginning of the first book. Because they're so
glad
close.
He didn't.
But, no.
This is the big one.
No.
I'm just glad he chose to go a different route with this. I cannot see Arya and Jon. Like, they have that close brother-sister relationship.
Like Harry and
they do
Hermione.
not have a loving relationship.
Harry and Hermione, just no. Except related by blood.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. No. I mean, what I mean by I could have seen it happening is if it happened,
he was writing for it in the beginning.
Right, you could kind of see, like, maybe...
He could have gone that way.
We could have. But I'm glad it didn't. But
the terrible thing is it could still go that way. We don't know.
It could still go that way. That's true. It could still happen.
Yeah. Martin, if by some crazy chance you see this, don't do it. Don't do it.
No. I mean, what would they be?
What they would be disgusting.
Well, right. I mean, what would their relationship be to each other? They would be what? They're cousins, right? Like half cousins or something?
Yeah, they'd be
because
cousins.
She's Eddard's and he's Lyanna's.
Yeah.
So they'd be cousins.
So it'd be no weirder than him hooking up with Dany.
Well, Dany's his aunt, though. That's a weirder connection to me. It's a little weirder.
I feel like that's the same. What you're like the same distance related.
Yeah,
so it's
that's true.
Either way,
yeah.
It's just as weird.
Yeah. Let's not go there. Don't do that.
I think it's so weird to think that Catelyn made it to the wall
and has to ask Jon for help.
Yeah, I love what he did with her character in the books much more.
Me too.
In this, she's like a damsel in distress. Please help us.
Yeah.
I need help.
No,
but in the books, he definitely
made her stronger.
Yeah.
And where she ends up, not that we know what's going to happen next, but where she ends up is just way more badass for sure.
Yeah. All right.
God, Arya and Jon, Jesus.
This paragraph isn't over yet.
Okay.
Their passion will continue to torment Jon and Arya throughout the trilogy, until the secret of Jon's true parentage is finally revealed in the last book. So, I guess you would
So
have
does
to
that
wait.
mean he's...
Yeah, is he not related?
Does that mean that they find out he's actually not related to Arya at all, so that they can, like, be together?
I mean, that could be what happened.
Even though that's not the case now.
No, definitely not. But maybe he chose... Maybe that's the reason why they didn't end up together, is Martin was like, I gotta have Jon's parents be Rhaegar and Lyanna.
Yeah, maybe. I hope.
And maybe...
I don't know why him and Dany is less gross to me than him and Arya. Maybe it's because they didn't grow up thinking of each other as brothers and sister.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole extra level of weirdness.
And
if him and Dany get together, like, they didn't grow up together. They don't think of each other as family.
Yeah. And don't they
Even though technically they are. But...
They hook up before they know, don't they?
In the show, yeah.
I don't remember from the show. Okay, so yeah.
In the show, they get together before he has any idea. And then in, like, season season 8, I think he finds out, or season 7 he finds out after he's hooked up with her, and then he's like, I can't be with you because you're my aunt.
Yeah, that's
and
weird.
She gets pissed.
But I mean, at that point, I mean, how many times have you seen her butthole? Like
her butthole?
At this
her
point,
butthole?
At this point,
why her butthole? Why was that the first thing you thought of?
I don't know. It's a very private area.
Okay.
At this point, like, you've already done so many nasty things with her, like...
Does it even
matter?
Plus, Jaime and Cersei, like, come on. And this is... Dany is also a girl who was fully, like, accepting of having to marry her brother.
Yeah, that's true, too.
So to her, it's like, what? My family's been doing this for, like, hundreds of years. It's a big deal.
I think of,
my parents were brother and sister. Like, you know, it's for her. She's just like, what's the problem?
It's like Lannisters, Targaryens marrying each other's sisters. On the same page there.
And then the Starks are in the middle, like, this is gross, guys. Ew.
Well, now, apparently, the Starks were cool with that.
I guess. Anyway.
Okay. Alright, so we're on to page 3.
Okay.
Almost there.
Am I gonna get horrified again? Probably.
I don't think anything worse happens, but there's definitely some other twists.
Okay.
Abandoned by the Night's Watch, Catelyn and her children will find their only hope of safety lies even further north, beyond the Wall, where they fall into the hands of Mance Rayder, the king beyond the Wall.
Okay.
And get a dreadful glimpse of the inhuman others as they attack the wildling encampment. Bran's magic, Arya's sword Needle, and the savagery of their direwolves will help them survive, but their mother Catelyn will die at the hands of the others.
I mean, Lady Stoneheart does come back, but not as a...
Yeah,
not as a...
so Lady Iceheart, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, and again, Bran's magic, the way he uses this as it's like an aggressive type magic.
Yeah, like he's...
Yeah. He's up in here being Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, like Gandalf and shit.
Yeah.
Dumbledore and fire. All over.
Like...
Yeah, alright.
Could you... I don't know. I couldn't picture that.
No.
I just could not picture that.
I can't picture magic being such an active part of the story in that way. Like a physical, active, aggressive part of the story. It's weird to me. Anyway.
Speaking of Daenerys.
Other than dragons.
Over across the Narrow Sea, Daenerys Targaryen will discover that her husband, the Dothraki Khal Drago, has little interest in invading the Seven Kingdoms, much to her brother's frustration. When Viserys presses his claims past the point of tact or wisdom, Khal Drago will finally grow annoyed and kill him out of hand, eliminating the Targaryen pretender and leaving Daenerys as the last of her line. Accurate.
Accurate.
All that is accurate.
It happens way, way faster.
Yeah.
But accurate.
100%. Daenerys will bide her time, but she will not forget. When the moment is right, she will kill her husband to avenge her brother, and then flee with a trusted friend into the wilderness beyond vast Dothrak. There, hunted by Dothraki blood riders of... Yeah, that's unreadable in the letter. Blank. Of her life, she stumbles of a cache of dragon eggs. Blank. Of a young dragon will give Daenerys the power to bend the Dothraki to her will, when she begins to plan for her invasion of the Seven Kingdoms. So yeah, there's like a glare on the letter picture, so I couldn't read that. So the blanks were that.
Okay.
So yeah, Daenerys kills Khal Drago.
That's...
out of spite because she loved her brother so much. Because he was such a great guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it goes back to that thing. She was going to marry her brother.
Mm-hmm.
And she maybe wanted to. Maybe Viserys wasn't a dick in this story.
Maybe
Viserys was like an alright dude.
I doubt it.
Probably not.
But the other thing is, Daenerys' character in this interpretation is just an idiot because she does this and then just runs away. She had no clear plan about killing him. She's just like, screw
F you.
Ugh.
And then happens to just randomly find dragon eggs.
Hey, look, these stones look cool. I'm gonna hold on to them. Oh my god, they're dragons!
Yeah, that doesn't flow as well as what actually happened.
Was she just running and tripped over a rock? And
I feel like Martin really was like, yeah, this is kind of dumb. I'm gonna rewrite this.
I don't think he had a clear view of Daenerys at this point. I think he was like all about Westeros.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this would be cool to introduce dragons. And
like
she's gonna kill this dude. She'll find dragons. She will. Somehow. It'll happen.
He knew what he wanted. This was his first idea of how he wanted her to get there. And he clearly came up with a better plan later. Because that's clunky to me.
Yeah,
it's
it
just
really
clunky.
is. I don't like it.
I don't like it either. I like what happens better.
Okay. So, Tyrion Lannister will continue to travel to plot to play the Game of Thrones, finally removing his nephew Joffrey in disgust at the boy king's brutality. Jaime Lannister will follow Joffrey on the throne of the Seven Kingdoms by the simple expedient of killing everyone ahead of him in the line of succession and blaming his brother Tyrion for the murders. Exiled, Tyrion will change sides, making common cause with the surviving Starks to bring his brother down, and falling helplessly in love with Arya Stark while he's at it. His passion is, alas, unreciprocated, but no less intense for that, and will lead to a deadly rivalry between Tyrion and Jon Snow.
Ew. Just everything about that is gross.
Arya, the center of drama here.
Arya, the hottie, apparently. Mm-hmm. Which is weird for me because in the entire series, she's just a kid. I'm like, she's still a kid. What is...
But Tyrion apparently was, Arya. Jon Snow was like, no, that's my woman. And my sister. Don't you dare.
Do like Jaime and do your own sister.
The rap. Well, Jaime's too busy doing that. And apparently, Jaime's going to be the king of the Seven Kingdoms.
Jaime's going to be a dick. Yeah. Apparently. Not that he isn't a dick sometimes, but
yeah, even more so.
I like Jaime Lannister as a character. He's actually one of my favorites. And I don't like this story for him.
Right?
I like him traveling with Brienne and losing his hand and becoming a better human being. 100%. Like that. So much better than, I'm going to kill everyone so I can be the king. Like, what? What?
So he ends the letter with, but that's the second book, ... I hope you will find some editors who are as excited about all of this as I am. Feel free to share this letter with anyone who wants to know about this, how the story will go. All the best, George R.R. Martin. So yes, that was his plan for the story.
It's his pitch, more or less.
That was his pitch. And it sounds like a bad Game of Thrones fan fiction.
I mean, there are elements that don't sound terrible, but...
They don't sound terrible, but that's because they're in the story.
Yeah, I mean, there are elements that still play out. Jon Snow becomes Lord Commander of the Night's Watch and all that.
That's what I mean.
There are certain things that hold true.
The only good points in that pitch were the stuff that he kept in. Which good for him for just saying, this is awful, I'm getting this out, and I'm going to do this storyline instead.
Yeah. The idea of Arya being an object of
passion.
Yes. Is weird to me. That's the weirdest part of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is Arya being the central love interest character. That's so bizarre to me.
So yeah. So this is the...
And if it still happens, I'm gonna be like, ew, what?
I know, I don't want that to happen.
I mean, she's still a kid.
Arya is a strong, independent woman who don't need no
murderer.
Man. Especially not a Tyrion and her brother.
Yeah.
Half-brother, cousin, whatever he
honestly
turned out to be.
That was one of the things in the show that I actually didn't mind. Like, not that they got together, but when her and Gendry hooked up, I was like, okay, I could see it. I could see it. It made sense in my brain. I was like, all right, I'll buy that. I could be on board for that.
I mean, if nothing else, at that point in the story, I'm pretty sure she's like 17, 18 anyways.
At that point, she's supposed to be an adult, right?
You're about to fight these terrible, crazy, mystical beings, like, do you want to get some? Yeah.
But I mean, as far as, like, being a potential partner for her, or someone she's in love with, I mean, by that point in the story, I don't really see Arya being in love with anybody, because she's so hard as a person.
I could see her being in love with someone, but I could see her always putting, like, what she wants to do above that. Like, you know, I think she legitimately loved Gendry, but she was like, I gotta go explore. This is what I want
she doesn't want to be a lady of the house.
Yeah.
Or at least taking some time off before, you know, taking some time off between all the fighting and the drama and the everything, and then maybe she meets somebody later after she's been around and traveled for a while. Like, maybe she meets somebody across the sea that she, like, falls in love with in, like, 5 years, you know?
Yeah.
Either way, there are hardly any characters within the story itself where I'm like, yeah, Arya and this guy. Gendry was, like, the only one where I was like, all right, I get that.
Yeah, she never really has those romantic relationships. But that's usually because 90% of the people are trying to kill her.
Right. And she's a kid still.
Yeah.
Like, she is a kid. She's the most kid in the show, other than Bran. Everyone else
Bran's a lot younger.
Everyone else is like an adult almost, you know, in the show.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess
at least about like Tyrion. Like, what? No.
I know, but like, I guess that brings us back to the beginning. Maybe Tyrion was supposed to be a child at the time.
Yeah,
you know?
That kind of would make sense.
Yeah, so maybe Tyrion's like same age range
as Arya,
and not like in his 30s, like
he is in the books.
Yeah. Well, at least by the end of the books, he's probably in his 30s. I think he's like 20 or
he's
something.
Young.
Like
he's young man, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I can't remember what they said. He's Jaime's younger brother. Jaime was 17 when he
killed the king.
When he killed the king, which was 13 years prior to the beginning of the book.
Yeah, I think they said that
he would have been 30. So Tyrion probably would have been like mid-20s, somewhere in there.
I think they say at the beginning of the book that Jaime is like 32 or 33. Like, I think Martin tells us how old he is.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Like, the first time you see Jaime, it was like, then Sir Jaime Lannister, 33, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think he says it. But either way, yeah. Tyrion's got to be in his mid-20s, right?
Yeah. But, yeah, so that was...
the original plot.
The original plot that Martin sent his bookseller in 93.
No mention of dragons, really. Like, it's very little bit.
That's why I think he didn't...
Like, was shoehorning dragons in there. Didn't quite know how the dragons were going to be there, but they were gonna be there.
I think the whole Daenerys storyline was just not...
fully fleshed out yet.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think he wanted dragons, and he was just like, Daenerys can be my vessel to introduce them, and he's like,
and
I don't know how I'm going to do it. Here, I have Daenerys. I'm going to do something with her, and she's going to get dragons somehow, and the dragons are going to be awesome, and they're going to kick ass.
And have the plot of the descendants of the king that was murdered trying to come back and reclaim their throne.
Yeah.
While everyone else is fighting for the throne. So he wanted that element as well, like the rightful heirs to the throne.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to come back.
Yeah.
And also, they're going to be the Dragon Lords, and we're going to put dragons in here. Just not quite sure how it's all going to fit together.
Exactly.
I don't like Sun and Stars and Moon of my... what the hell do they call each other? My Sun and Stars and... Moon of
my light, or
Moon of my
light
life.
of my moon. I can't remember what it was now.
Either way, no, that was cute. Don't ruin it by having her kill him. Although she does technically kill him in the books. Technically,
she does.
But it's a mercy killing.
Yes,
but she does kill him. Just
But it was out of love. It wasn't out of revenge.
Right. It was a mercy thing.
It wasn't, you killed my brother. I am Daenerys Targaryen. You killed my brother. Prepare to die.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm glad he changed his mind. God.
Right? So,
I mean, I don't even know where the Catelyn story is going to go from here, where we are in the books. But,
it's hard to know where we're going to go in the books.
But I'm glad that I'd much rather be there with it than north of the wall with Mance Rayder. Like, what the fuck?
You see, like, he kept a lot of the same ideas in there.
He did, yeah. The King Beyond the Wall, the White Walkers, Mance Rayder being the King Beyond the Wall.
Seems like he had all the characters he wanted. He just didn't know how the story was going to play out.
Yeah, and it seems like the main characters are still the main characters.
But he did say that he's not the type to outline his whole story.
Yeah.
And he definitely didn't do that.
No. He kind of had an idea of the basic story he wants to tell.
Mm-hmm. The man completely underestimated how many pages he was going to need, though.
Because he doesn't outline. He's just like, I'm just gonna write and see what happens.
Yeah, I can fit all this in 3 books.
Oh, well, actually.
Or maybe like the publisher didn't want to do like some epic series, so he's like, yeah, it's gonna be 3 books, 7 maybe. So I don't know.
That's crazy. I mean, I could see it having been 3 books, but he would have had to condense everything down so much.
Yeah.
Like, you would have had to take out a lot of stuff, like the whole Euron Greyjoy thing would have to just be gone. Reek, Ramsay Bolton. Like, a lot of that shit, I feel like there would just be no room for that.
There wouldn't. It would have been a very undeveloped story.
Which it could have still worked, but I don't think it would have been elevated to the level that it is.
Epic fantasy. This would have been like a nice little,
fantasy trilogy.
Yeah. Weekend read.
Yeah. Not Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, magic, fantastic, huge, epic, ridiculous story.
Thank goodness he went in the direction he did.
I know. Arya, Jesus. I just like Jon and Arya. No. I can't get over that one. That one hurts me in my soul. That one offends my being.
I know. I was reading through this and I was just kind of like, okay, that's weird, but it works, whatever. And then I got to Jon and Arya. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, no.
Because the way he develops a character, you kind of feel about Arya the same way a brother would a sister. Like the way she develops.
I mean, even Dany, she's very strong, she's very independent, but at the same time, when she has relationships with people, it's okay. It works.
I think Daenerys is a perfect example because of how Martin could have wrote Arya if he wanted to go down that road.
Yeah.
Where Daenerys is very strong, independent, but she's very sexual at the same time.
Yeah, she is. And it doesn't happen as much as it does. She grows up more and it happens, right? Like, by the time she meets Dario, she's got to be, what?
I think she's 17 or 18.
18. Like, she's pretty much like an adult at that point.
Which means that Arya is, like, 13, 14.
I was going to say, she's
and he already wrote Daenerys kind of in that sexual way. So if he was going to go down that road with Arya,
he would have done it already.
Would have already started seeing that.
Right.
And it definitely not. So I don't think we're going to end up with a Jon Snow, Tyrion, Arya love triangle at the end of this story.
No. I mean, maybe there will be a love triangle, but I don't necessarily see it being them 3.
The love triangle thing just...
It's very cliche.
That's the point where I'm like, this is just a fan fiction.
Yeah. I mean, love triangles are alright if they're done the right way as a subplot to something else, maybe.
Well, think of like Dario, Daenerys, and
Jorah.
Jorah.
That's kind of a love triangle thing. in the sense of Jorah's got the unrequited love problem. And yeah, like that's how you write it. That's a good way to do it.
Yes.
Poor Jorah. Poor bastard.
Or Brienne, Jaime, and
Cersei. Hated how that ended in the show.
I did.
I kind of hated that
It was kind of expected.
I kind of hated that he got with Brienne.
Yeah,
I hated that he went back to Cersei.
If he was going to go back to Cersei, I don't think you should have had him get with Brienne.
I
feel like you started developing that, and then
Yeah.
you were just like, I'm bored of this. Go back to Cersei.
I hated that he went back to Cersei in the first place. Because it just kind of, like, ruined his entire character development.
Yeah.
I also hated that he got with Brienne because I felt that he looked at Brienne very much as, like, he respected the hell out of her. She was a really good friend, but I never felt that he saw her that way.
No.
But I felt that she started to see him that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't ever see it going anywhere. And the fact that they got together, it just felt weird to me that they actually got together. Like, I don't know.
I wasn't so weird about that, but...
Maybe
I
because
think,
it didn't develop very well. It didn't...
I mean, you saw the, like, seeds of development, and I think
I saw it on her side, but I didn't really see it so much on his side.
I think you just need to go with it. Like, you did it, just go with it, or just don't put it in.
Yeah, because it happened, and then he just goes back to Cersei at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
I was like, that just didn't work for me. I don't know. Whatever. But that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen in the books.
No.
And I would be very surprised if that is what happens in the books.
But that's about all we have for time for this first episode of Books and Brews.
Yes.